Today, so welcome everyone to the Moodle Focus Group, 30th of April. And we've got a few topics. And the first topic I'm going to talk about is the TAE upgrade. And some of you have already done the training, but there's quite a few who haven't still done it. But we've got some more training sessions coming up to allow that to happen. Now, I've organised that to be in my HR. But unfortunately, my HR is down at the moment. Unfortunately, I was going to actually demonstrate it. But instead of doing that, I've organised to have a YouTube video available for you, and it's up here on the screen, up on the agenda. That YouTube video actually explains how to get into my HR and how to YouTube video. Now the dates that are coming up, and I'll just show those in here, we've got some session A's, B's, C's, D and E, and I've organised for the training to be preferably in the school holidays, and you can do it 1 week blocks. Now if you've already started it but haven't finished it, you'll be able to jump into some of those sessions. Now I'm going to take a couple of sessions off. So one week being the 30th of the 5th because I have a conference, so that one's going to go, and also this one here. And I'll replace those with something else. All right, so those two will be, I just found out today that I have to go to a conference in Melbourne, so I won't be doing those two trainings, but all the other ones are available. So have a look in my training. If you haven't done the training, YouTube video, and it will explain to you how to do it. Unfortunately, I can't do it for you at the moment, but please go into that YouTube. Now, we've got a couple of presentations to be done, and firstly we've got Melissa. I don't know if Melissa's come in as yet. She's obviously been delayed, but we have Erin. So Erin's here at the moment, so we might get Erin to do a demonstration first, if that's okay, Erin. You there?
Yep, no worries at all.
Thank you, Erin. Erin's
Yep,
going to
can you hear
be
me?
doing a demonstration of her shell that she's been using for Cert 2 in Hort and Conservation Land Management. Okay, I'll pass it over to you, Erin. And I'm just going to change the layout.
Yep, no worries. Okay, so hopefully everyone can see that. So can you see that, Christine?
Yes, I can. It's good, very clear.
Just making sure. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly take you through my shell here. This one is on plant, trees and shrubs. This is Certificate 2 Conservation, Land Management and Horticulture. Okay, so I have just tabs up the top, which I think makes it fairly clear where they need to be in what time frames. I have an introduction page where obviously it just tells you the general which is linked also in the unit information over on the left hand side. I try to make the screens nice and clean and clear, and also hopefully I do this because I try to minimize confusion with the students. So I have a little student lounge where they can go in and they can have a chat with the other fellow students. So they can arrange themselves to go and meet at a certain time. So they've always got access with each other if they want to go in there and have a chat. I won't show you that one, but I will show you a few more of the forums. So I'll show you week 1 content. Okay, so this is my opening or introduction screens. As you can see, there's not much on them. They're pretty plain. So we just go into the book, we just click on our book, and this opens up all of week 1 topics. Obviously table of contents down the side because I structure everything in books, nice and neat and compact. They can go through obviously just like pages. Resource page. Looking at activities, I have a range of different activities that I get them to do. Some of them may be a learner guide. I'll show you this one. It doesn't want to work. That happens. It's alright, I've got a couple more through here, so. Okay, so we go through, I give them some examples of completed work, and then we do things like discussions. They have a look at a video. This one is on OHS, and then they go into their discussion forum. Please post in your ideas. I have a mark for their communication, which hopefully encourages them to participate in the forums, and as such I think it's worked really, really well. I have really good participation in just about all of the discussion forums. So I go through and I give them just a competent or not competent, that they've actually thought about what I've asked them to think about and come up with some ideas. So I have like fact sheets that they can link to, some readings, a whole range. I try to use a whole range of different resources so they don't get bored, and try to keep on going flicking through this. I won't spend too much time. I'll try and find a couple of good forums for you. So as you can see, it's in chapters, which is beautiful because they know exactly where they're up to. So they can say, well, they're in week 1, and they've read up to and done activities up to where to plant. So they know to where to come back to if they need to come back in and keep on completing more activities. This one's a good one. This is a forum that we did on tools and equipment for planting operations. So I gave them a bit of an overview of some tools that we might need, and then I got them to post in the forum pictures of what they would use. Take a photo of the tools themselves, so that forced them to go out and physically find those items and put them together and then show me what they would actually use. So you can see we've got gloves, tape measure. A couple of them cheated here. You can see that they've cut it and pasted, but that's okay. At least they're looking. Tape measure, this is a photo, first aid kit, etc., etc. So some really good ideas, and obviously it's great because it gets them to participate in and actually in a practical way, in a practical sense, where they're actually doing something. Okay, so this is on interpretation of a planting plan. Form package activities. Just another way to get them to do something different. They'll do the planning plan, interpreting it, using symbols on the plan, and they've just got to do a little, you know, is this right, is this not right, multiple choice. Pretty easy and simple to use. And the only thing about this is that I wanted to track that they were using this particular tool, and that was hard because I had no way of making sure that they were correct with their answers, but I can track that they've actually accessed the SCORM package. So, yeah. So this is week 2, looking at physical preparation, looking at competing plants. So I get them to do some research as well, where they go out and I give them a few websites that they want them to access, and tell them exactly where they need to be in those. And then after they've done that research, they go back and they discuss what they've found on their discussion forums. So we've got soil preparation. As you can see, the pages aren't lengthy, they're really short and to the point. And the reason I've structured all of this like this is because I found my students were getting lost, and it's much easier to keep tabs on where they're up to too, because you can hide your weeks and your books. So even chapters within your books. So if you want them to be at a certain place and complete a certain amount of work, you can make that happen by just hiding it. To touch on it. So I give them links to where they can find out more if they want to. They look at some videos, Dial Before You Dig. This one's just other considerations and some tasks that they're set. I try to give them lots of interactive activities, so they're always doing something. And of course, after every week, they've got a quiz. This is just one on week 2 physical preparation. I'll just quickly take you through week 3 and 4, and then I'll see if I can find some other really good forums. So this is week 3. This is looking at plant selection. Give them lots of videos, lots of visuals, and then some fact sheets to back up what they see. Again, activities that are forcing them to do practical work. So task 1, head out to your local nursery or garden centre and find 5 healthy plant specimens that you would choose for planting in a garden. Then choose 5 that you would not plant into a garden. Take photos of these plants, especially close-ups, for the reasons of making your choices, and upload them into the discussion forum. So they've got a note there saying ask permission before they take their photos. Now if you go into this forum, this has actually been done really well by most of the students. So they've listed the plants that they wouldn't plant and the reasons why. They've shown me photos of the damage of the plants. I think this one was done really well actually. And it's nice because all the other students get to explore this as well. And they also get to interact with each other. Okay, so this is about inspecting plants. What is a root-bound or pot-bound plant? Just little questions, okay, get them to think about things. Again, I want them to go in and find out themselves about root-bound or pot-bound plants instead of giving them the information, and then recognizing it and how that they could treat it. And then obviously we discuss or work through that information in the forums. Like we actually go through how we would do that after they've had a look themselves. And then again, I back them up with some further reading on what root-bound plants are, and then a little bit more. And again, very little on the page, nice and simple. You know, we're looking at plant growth requirements. They need to have a look themselves at plant growth requirements and tell me on the forum, label a plant for me and show me what they need. This is another of the toolbox activities. So this is activity 2. They go through and they work through digging and lifting. Did they do it right? Did they not do it right? Backfilling the soil, etc., etc. Sorry everyone, I'm getting over a bug at the moment, so I'm a bit croaky. Okay, and this again looks at some just a video on how to plant a tree or shrub, an article, and then again we go into a forum to actually look at the differences in planting techniques that you might find between different projects, whether it be revegetation or landscape. So a little bit of research there. I give them some ideas and then they go back and report on that. There probably wouldn't be anything in this one because it's only a new discussion topic. I'll flick through this for you. We're nearly at the end anyway. There's a planting guide that I give them. So, and then I give them further reading, and then we're nearly at the end. So just, you know, there's little activities, and then fact sheets that sort of back it up.
That's fantastic. Erin, what's the cohort of your students?
I have mixed cohort of students. I have conservation land management students and horticulture, and they are a whole range of different ages. I've got
Amazing. And do they do it completely online?
No, they do practical block weeks, where they come in and they will do a week, and they've just actually completed that, on practical skills. So we try to cram a lot into a small amount of time, and they've just finished one of those, and it was very successful. So what I normally do is I give them their content, and then when they come in we go through the practical, but obviously that can't happen in all cases. So what will happen is they'll get the practical first and then we'll run through the theory online. Yeah, like, so you have, I mean, with horticulture it's quite handy.
Yeah. And then you could get them to send you photos, like, or do videos?
That's what I do. And this one, like this activity here, is finishing up the process of planting plants. So I want them to go out and have a go. Get out there, get your hands dirty this weekend, plant something. As you are planting, think about all the steps we've gone through, record your planting pictorially, or share with the rest of the group what you have planted in the I Planted a Plant forum. So they do the activity and then they report on it. So still getting to do practical skills. Now this is an activity where they're planting a plant. Now they aren't being assessed. They will be assessed in one of those
Been a student in your shell. I've been getting lots of emails with people participating in the forums, and I've been really pleased to see that all your students are really active in the forums, and yeah, really using them and discussing the topics that you've got available.
Well, what initially happened, Christine, when I put my first shell up, is I had no one participating in any of the forums. And
Okay.
I don't know why that was, but I changed that to the way I've structured it now, where
Yes.
they have to learn the practical skill, or they have to go out and research it and then report on it as part of the learning.
Fantastic. So that's a good thing to know, and we can learn from what you're doing, is actually getting them, because they're excited because they've done something that you've asked them to do, and they're excited about it, and they can share it through the forum, which is wonderful.
Yep.
Very good. Has anyone got
Yep.
any questions for Erin? And I'm just going to change the view. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Sorry. My mouse is doing more things than I expected it to do. Oh, it's not me, it's Erin.
It's me, sorry.
What am I doing? Okay, so what I'll do, Erin, you stop sharing, okay, and I'll just go back to a different view so that I can see everyone in here. Oh, nothing being shared. Hands up. Okay, good. I just had a freak out then because I just seen someone said they've got nothing being shared. And nothing being... So Carol, you didn't see anything? Interesting.
I think that was there before, Christine, that nothing being shared was at the very start.
Okay, all right. Well, that's good because I was a bit worried. So Carol and Erica, Peter, Desbert, were you able to see? Just type in the text. Were you able to see Erin's shell? Beautiful. Okay. Well, that's good because I would have been very disappointed if you missed it. Anyway, we are recording it, so you could play it back if you did miss it. Okay, so moving on.
Did anyone have any? Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, did anyone have any questions about any of that? Was that easy to follow?
Yeah. So maybe if you, I'll put everyone's hand down. Anyone got a question, put your hand up and then allow your audio so we can hear you. Is anyone else teaching completely online? Hands up. Okay. All right. Looks like we've got no one asked questions, but Erin will be in the meeting for a little bit longer. So if you think of something, post a question on the chat, and we can talk about it. Now, I'm just looking to see whether Melissa has come in. It doesn't look like she has. I'm just wondering, Jeanette, would you be able to give Melissa a call and find out if she's got an issue? And what we might do is get Matt to give us a quick update on the new SMS Moodle training. Good on you, Matt. Just a bit of an overview. I know it's all coming up, but you'll be the person coordinating it, and we'd love to hear from you.
Right, so can people hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Woohoo. Okay, so Christine just asked me to go through and have a bit of a chat about how which is a shell around each of the roles to do with the SMS. Some of those are large roles, some of those are fairly small roles. There's also a single introductory shell that every person's going to have to be to go through before they can then go along with the other. No, Christine, I'm not becoming an expert at Moodle, but apparently I have to. Yeah, so then there's a single introductory shell as well that everyone has to go through. That's the starting blocks of how to use the basics of the SMS system. So I've got 3 ways that I sent out a recent survey, which finishes today actually, getting some feedback on how people wanted to be trained in that with that training in mind. So we looked at the typical percent online and about 25% with the blended method. So that's going to be interesting on how I then use that. So I am then looking at using the SMS, the Moodle shells in a slightly different ways. So the benefit of the Moodle shells, which have been developed by the Gordon, who go live on their SMS in a couple of weeks, is that it's good for some training, but it's also good for after training. So for the people who are face-to-face, they won't necessarily use the SMS beforehand, the Moodle shells beforehand, but they'll be given access to them after their face-to-face to be able to basically use it as a refresh of what they've learnt, or to go back and be. The online people, I'm going to have some people who are going to choose to do online. They're the ones who I'm going to have to do a lot of monitoring of to make sure people are engaged, which I think is exactly what Aaron was just talking about in terms of keeping people engaged with that and setting up systems to engage. So far what I've seen of those shells, they're pretty much just videos and training manuals without any forums, and with a couple of questions after each one, not so many forums to ensure engagement. So that's something I'm going to have to add into it to make sure people get engaged. And then the blended one, my ideas around that one is to actually give people, get people to access the Moodle information a couple of weeks prior to having a training session, and then a training session to have a workshop. That's really all I've got is so far. I've only just had access to the new SMS system myself for a week, and then it you went to sit down yesterday to have a play, and it got shut down on me. So I've only ran through the introductory shell, but each shell around a role, and depending on where you are within the organisation and what your role within, so you might take a Heather Isles, she'll have a role around doing certificates. People do enrolments will have a role around enrolments, whereas general staff will have roles around entering study plans and a lot of the similar functions that we perform in QLS, just with a different tool basically. And really, Christine, that's about all I've got to say at the moment.
Oh, that's fantastic though. Look forward to the training.
As do I.
Now, we've got Jeanette coming in now, and Jeanette's going to be talking about the Moodle booth that's coming up in 2013 and other external PD that you may be interested in, and then she'll go on and talk about eWorks updates. So are you there, Jeanette, ready to take over?
Hi Christine, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Can you hear me?
And I'll take off my microphone. Thank you.
Just to let you know, we're on a mission to search for Valissa, so hopefully we can find her. I wanted to explain to you about the Moodle Moot and some of the other PD that's available via other agencies such as the TAFE Development Centre and also through eWorks. So I'll just share my screen. Okay, can we see that? Can I just get some hands up and bits and pieces? Yep, good. All right. Okay, so this is what we're looking at. The Moodle Moot is one of the events that Christine and I have not had an opportunity to attend so far, and I think it's going to be an interesting conference. So what is a Moodle Moot? Moodle Moots are run all around the world, but they're dedicated to Moodle users, and pretty much all. I've just got an email from Felissa saying she completely forgot. So Christine, could you just send her the link again, please? Secondary users to the tertiary users and to the primary users, and perhaps get some new ideas. I think after 2 years of really rolling out Moodle as a learning management system, we're all practicing and using it in different ways, and it will be really good to see what other people are doing. So there is a lot happening. It's in Melbourne. It's actually being run around June. What I would encourage you to do is, if you do have any PD funding in your area, perhaps it's something you want to go and have a look at. So that's one big conference that will be available. In terms of eWorks, eWorks have now works as our learning management system provider. So there's been a few things that have been happening in that area. They've put together some training again themselves, and you can see there's introductory training. Oops, I'm hoping this is still sharing. Oh, here we go. And viewing the up and coming workshops. So some of these are actually online and others are face-to-face. But as you can see, there's workshops there up until the 19th of June. And I do encourage, if anybody is going to attend or has the money to do the PD, to keep in touch with us and let us know how you went, and then we can actually get you in to present on this forum to share what you learnt. The TAFE Development Centre. Now they do run a lot of events to do with e-learning, a lot of stuff that is undertaken by people such as Michael Gwyther and Andrew Dausch. So it's things we've seen before. But again, if you get involved with those, if you can have a chance to come back and provide the rest of the team and the rest of the group with information, that'd be fantastic. I'm just going to stop sharing momentarily and take us back to the welcome screen. Is there anybody who has any questions there? That be a no, or do I have to actually enable microphone rights for people? Christine's got a hand up. Christine?
Oh, good, thank you.
Everyone's got microphone rights.
Good.
Now with the one thing I'd like to add to that is that the early bird discounts finish on the 2nd of May, which is only in 2 days' time. So if you are keen in doing that, have a look at that and look up the costs and see whether you can organise to get funding to do that. So you only got 2 days before the fees go up.
The last one I really want to just studying. I've been doing a course with Open Universities in terms of their MOOCs, and it's available on something called Open to Study. And if you Google Open to Study, I'll actually share it just momentarily, and in the small box. Let's have a look. Right, assessment details. Can I get a hands up if you can see the screen? Yep. It's always really good to see what your competitors are doing, and if you know much about Open Universities Australia, oops, wrong email, I'm going to do I think it was Andrew Lovett at the Services Division Day. I might just log in via Google because I know that that works. It's really good to see what our oppositions are doing. Open to Study just I've got 5 days, 10 hours and 46 minutes to do this assessment. It's been quite interesting. So the actual structure of this particular course is just to sit here and look at a series of videos that are done really well with a presenter and watch the videos and finish off the actual assessments. It's really quite easy. You can do it on your iPad in front of the telly, but it's been some really interesting information and they do a really good job of it. So I'll stop sharing that. Now we've got Valissa in, so I might let Valissa continue and then I'll come back with the eWorks update after that.
Jeanette? I'll put everyone's hand down to start with, so that if you've got a question, you put your hand up or just ask. Okay, it looks like we're free to go on. Valissa, welcome. Thank you for coming, and thank you for agreeing to show off your induction shell that you're using for building and construction. So I'll pass it over to you. There we go.
Okay,
Right.
so share my screen now?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Now this is... course. Okay. All right. Oh. Can everybody see my Moodle screen?
Now we can.
Now you can.
Yeah.
Okay.
You?
Lovely.
I'm going to mute my microphone now.
Sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you, Christine.
I'll just mute my microphone now. Can you hear that?
Yes.
Yep. Now I think, who did you put your hand up? Do you need to say anything?
So I took the induction template that I got through requesting it. We left the welcome page as it is, and the only real changes, or the only changes that we've made, are in the course information page. Now, because of the way the new Flexible Learning Centre works, we have students who are from different qualifications attending at the same time. So it wasn't really going to work for us to run an induction session and have to have everybody looking at different induction shells. So what we did was combined all of ours into a generic shell. So I'll just go through what we did and how we've made it work. So in the these ones here, and these are the course information forms. So when instructed by the teacher, they go through the process and they open up the course information form for the particular qualification that they're enrolled in. Then they go through that, they talk with their teacher about it, or whatever the process of the induction session is, and through the bottom section of the page, we put in those things that were applicable to building and construction. So in outcomes, again, because we were looking at a different range of qualifications, we just put that they will be awarded a level 3 trade certificate. Our timetable is just a copy of our yes.
I think it's gone to the other screen because we can't see anything.
Oh, okay. Well, no, it's showing on the same. It's on the same screen. So maybe it's just not looking. Yeah, I'm only using one screen. What we have is we have a trifold brochure, and in the centre of it, it has a calendar with all the open lab days and the mandatory face-to-face training. So the timetable is just a copy of that. The assessment guidelines. Okay, can you see that? Are the assessment guidelines showing on your screen?
Not showing on our screen.
It's not showing on your screens. Okay, so
No,
I'm not
there's
sure
nothing
how.
there.
Are you sharing your
Just
desktop?
pixelated.
Okay.
When you were asked to share, did you share an application or your desktop?
I might have shared a window instead.
Okay, that's
rather
what's
than a
happened.
Okay.
Just stop sharing for a minute and then we'll start the share up again and then we'll be able to see it.
Okay, so click stop sharing. Click on desktop. God, I don't know which one is the first monitor and which one's the second monitor now. I think it's the first monitor. Yes, okay, so you're looking at my Moodle screen again?
Thank you.
Okay, so the timetable. Can you see our timetable?
Excellent.
Excellent, okay, great. So that's our timetable that is for our flexible learning labs, the computer labs and some main things. So because we're all about, we're no longer doing block learning. Students come in when their employers want them to, and we have open lab weeks, that sort of thing, which is working really well so far. So that's the timetables. We have our assessment guidelines, and because our assessment guidelines are fairly generic across the board, as a rule, assessment on there. Then we have a PPE requirement, so that was the next link. So all of our students who attend a flexible learning centre have a PPE requirement, so that's just on there as a link. Same with the equipment requirements, they're all on there as a link. So, and it just depends. We're in the process of amending this particular link so that it adds our plumbers in as well, and our glass and joiners if we our glass and glazing students as well. So that will be, they'll all just have to look at what they need. The resources, most cases our resources are all online or provided as class sets, so we didn't have a link there. We do have an excerpt from the occupation obviously working through all of these with them, so it's a mix of face-to-face and they use the online. And then Section 8 just advises how we will report back to their employees on their attendance and their progress through, and an instruction that if they are going to be early or leave early or arrive late, they need to complete the form. And then we have the specific code of conduct for building and construction, which is in there. And that's for the building, plumbing, furnishing trades, which covers off all of the quals that we are looking at with our induction here. Down the bottom here, what we used to have was for PPE requirements, equipment requirements, acknowledgement of read and understood the Act, really long paper trail of these things. So what we've done now is we've created a choice. So as they go through each section, so as the teacher goes through section 4 for PPE requirements with them, once they're done, the student is instructed to click on the PPE requirements link at the bottom, and it basically, I've already selected a response, but it basically says, I have read and understood and agreed to abide by the building and construction PPE requirements. The choice, they click yes, or they click the radio button, I can't remember what it is now, to say that yes, they have done that, and that gives us a record online of what they're, of the fact that they are acknowledging the requirements. And then the very bottom is the student absence form that they are required to complete if they're leaving early or finishing late. All the other tabs are untouched. They are as in the generic template that came, or the generic tabs that came in the template. So that's our induction shell.
That's fantastic. How many students have gone through the induction shell at this stage?
Well, according to the PPE requirements sign-off, there's been 59.
59. Fantastic. And what's the feedback been?
Really good. Well, I mean, and that it's more across the board in terms of the Flexible Learning Centre as a whole, rather than just the induction. But no, they're really liking the ability.
Great. Thank you, Valissa. Has anyone got any questions for Valissa? I'm going to go. Jeanette's going to do the eWorks update, and then we're just going to do some of the Moodle training and more internal training that's coming up. So I'll pass over to Jeanette.
Okay, so I'm not going to go in with any screen sharing. I'm just going to point out 2 things from eWorks that they've raised as being important things to watch, and one thing the Institute has raised as an important thing to watch. So the 2 things from eWorks, one is the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines 2.0. So we're providing our training through Moodle, as you know, but one of the things we need to be mindful of is that concept of that's been built by flexible delivery funding. You'll notice that it's got things like text alternatives and annotation for the audio and video. So that requirement is getting stronger and stronger, and we're going to have some training on what that might mean. It's a little bit more about being able to use screen accessibility tools with Moodle as well. But one thing we can say about Moodle is that it's by nature a very interesting tool that isn't accessible in its own right. But eWorks are working with Urella, which is the not-for-profit organisation that supports disabilities, to design a much more accessible shell, so that we have an option to use that type of shell about our learning styles. Hang on a moment, can you please?
Little bit of background noise there.
That's right, and Jeanette's just speaking.
Aileen's just going to go and talk somewhere else. Sorry, it's really hard because it's a shared office and we are a help desk, so I apologise for that. But yeah, Aileen's supporting someone. So that's, in a nutshell, a little bit about where there's some directions going towards in terms of making sure web content is available. One thing I think you might have noticed, if you go onto any of the Australian government websites, even the Higher Education Skills Group or the DECD website, the websites are getting a lot more simple. and that's all to do with making sure that the content is accessible to all. So it's becoming more and more about the content and less about the bells and whistles. Of Mahara to the next version, which is version 1.6, which means that you can put an assessment into Moodle, which is a Mahara portfolio. So it brings that linkage together a little bit closer. So we're waiting on timelines to have that rolled out. It won't take away any functionality of the existing Mahara portfolio, just to add functionality to it. And the third thing, which was the Institute direction, is around copyright. Anne Ritter and co have just, or executive have just signed off on the latest copyright policy, and I think Anne Ritter and I are going to take an opportunity to do some looking around some of the content. So I'm really happy. We really like to work with people who would like us to have a look and provide some opportunities and some suggestions. So if you're interested in participating in that, just drop me an email and we'll come and see you. So I'm going to pass it on to Christine now, who's going to look at the internal Moodle training and more PD for 2013. Thanks.
Thanks, Jeanette. That's great. Okay, so we're actually going to finish a little bit earlier today, which is always good because I know you're all very busy. Now, the last part of this Moodle focus group is looking at what training is going to come up in the future, and I'm doing my graduate certificate in education, as a lot of people, and I can see a few in this room that are doing the same course. And one of our first Deanne Bramley, and we're doing technology tools for teachers. And from that, we've actually learnt some really great things. I can do it. Beautiful. I'm not sure. Oh, he can juggle. Yes, he can do that. That's one of the other things we are learning to do is juggle, and Matt has mastered that. I'm still working on it, but that's great. Now, the reason I wanted to bring up this, because I've learnt a lot just doing this poster, and things like using QR codes, using Windows Movie Maker, how to put Movie Maker into YouTube and putting the YouTube into Moodle. So they're little workshops that I would like to share back to teachers, which will really help make their content. So if you've got anything that you'd like to learn, can you just days. The e-facilitation units are already on the system in my HR, but I've got to include the Moodle training. So there'll be the normal workshops for Moodle that we normally have, and then additional pieces. So, and Jeanette's got some great ideas of different things that she's been learning about that she wants to share also. So between us, I think there's some great things that we can share around. So if anyone else has got any ideas about what they want to share, Erin has been doing some great work with augmented reality, which is fantastic, and it's fantastic for training, and it just makes it more interesting. Audio for PowerPoints using the new presenter, and she's doing some really good stuff with that, and she's going to run some workshops on that. So it just makes our content is more professional looking and gives us more flexibility. And most of these things are really easy, it's just that we haven't been exposed to them. Yes, we can do some Mahara workshops also. I'm happy to do that, and I'd love to do that. I have got I'm just going to bring up I'm going to share my screen just for a second, just from this smaller one in the center. Oops, it's flicked me, but I'm going to share my screen here. To get in my I just realised it's closed. Can't do. Sorry about that. But what I can show you, I suppose, is sorry, I'm flicking a bit. I realise, but I just want to get back into here. And show you on the e-learning support site. Now, professional development, Moodle focus group. In here, we've got the different types of Moodle training that's available. Okay, so if any of those you're interested, I will be putting more of those out. The Adobe Connect is a great one also, as you're using it now. And here, Moodle Help videos. We've just been putting a few different ones up there as we create them, but they might be ones that will just reinforce what you've learned already. So please go there and they will increase. I've just been away. So going back into my room here, and yeah, so Erin's happy to share stuff. So I'd love you to come and do something with me too, Erin. That would be great. So anyone else got any suggestions that they would like to learn about? Okay, well, keep it in mind, and then just, either drop me an email and let me know if there's something that you particularly want to know about. I will let you know when there's training available, but also you can go to that on the intranet, on the e-learning site, and look at what professional development will have things there, and also in My HR. Now, just for those who come in late, there is a YouTube up here that I've created it's an Adobe Connect recording, but I put it into YouTube so that we don't lose it. It is only for those people that have the link that can actually go to it, so it's unlisted. But if you copy that URL, you'll Okay, so have anyone got any questions or anything they would like to add? All right, well, I think we might, oh, sorry, Erin McDowell, you've got your hand up.
Christine, I just wanted to add also, just with my shell that I was sharing earlier, one thing I forgot to mention was that to keep the students engaged, we have a online Adobe Connect session as we are doing right now. We do that once a week, and it's like a drop-in session, but I try to make it so that when the students come in, we can talk about what's going on in the shell, what content is coming up in the next week's content, how they'll actually be doing activities, and we can just discuss different bits and pieces in there, and I find that that works really well. Just to make sure that everyone is logging in all the time, and to do that I need the students to have that connection, otherwise they just drop like flies. So yeah, I just thought I'd mention that.
Yeah, yes, exactly, and that's the beauty of Adobe Connect, because you are hearing another person, so you feel like you are connected, and I think that's really important. So webinars, and I strongly advise you to, if you don't, well, obviously you're using webinars to come into this meeting room, but to use it as a training tool. If you need training with that, I'm happy to help. All right, so let me know if
We actually use the blackboards and everything to scribe on, to play around with. We use notes. It's a bit more personal for the students. Yeah, so that's just an idea that I thought I'd share.
Fantastic. Thank you, Erin. That's fantastic, because that really reinforces and it complements what you're doing in the shell. thank you, and thank you to Melissa also and Matt for presenting today. So let's give our presenters a round of applause. Now remember, you've got your clap. Let's give them all if I can find the clap. There it is. Yay. So thank you very much. So we're going to close for now. I like your clap, Matt. There is a clap up in the top there if you can see it, and the time's out. Yeah, so thank you. And thanks, everyone. And we'll... So it will be on the 19th of July, so 12:30 to 2. We normally have them in vanilla and then do a Adobe Connect session, which is so convenient, so you don't have to travel. But if you particularly want me to be at your campus for that meeting, because you have quite a few that want to come in face-to-face, please let me know and I can organise to have it at your campus. All right, so